Howdy folks, this isn't going to be anything flashy or jump cut or anything like that. That's not the style of my channel here. I just want to put a thought out there, guys. Just stop and think about this big fad on the internet. Deep state. Deep state, deep state, deep state, deep state. I don't know about you, but thumbing through my subscriber videos on the YouTube app about 2 days ago, trying to watch a little light entertainment, to go to sleep to because I'm addicted to the screen. I just saw deep state, deep state, deep state. Everyone's talking about deep state. Just like a few months ago, like say September, October of 2016, suddenly globalist was a word. Like who exactly is deciding that these words are suddenly okay now? Okay, because globalist, up until now, really has just been a word that Alex Jones would use, or that communists, Marxists, revolutionary socialists would use, or also anarchists. It was a fringe thing, it wasn't something that say conservatives would use, but there you have I think October of last year, the Rebel Media comes out with a video telling us that they're going to explain what a globalist is. And now, it's no longer the realm of Alex Jones, and not to say that Alex Jones, it should be the realm keeper, but he is a gatekeeper. He has been placed there. Others have been shooed out of the way for, him to rise to prominence, most notably Bill Cooper, rest in peace. But it is telling that it used to just be this thing that we point at Alex Jones and laugh at him, ha ha ha. That's that crazy conspiracy theorist over there talking about the United Nations wanting to basically take over the world with a world government. Now it's just kind of, well, yeah, duh, I knew that all along. And it's a little tiresome. Now today, in the past week, we have deep state, deep state, deep state, deep state. Everyone's talking about the deep state. Even YouTubers that I respect, Styx Hexenhammer 666, he had a video that kind of described, his conception of the deep state. And a friend of mine, Dave Zerini, not to name drop, but, I figured I'd, take the chance anyway. He has now come out with an 1.5-hour long podcast with a friend of his about, entitled Deep State. I'm sure that, it was very smart of him to, address that. But where are these giant waves coming from? That just kind of come out of nowhere, where suddenly we're all thinking on a different level. Like, who is guiding us? It's almost reminiscent of how the Zionists of, pre-World War Europe got together and said, we've got to rack up this anti-Semitism deal, We've got to make something really terrible happen. I forget who was very influential Zionist actually said this at a World Congress, said that, we've got to get anti-Jewish sentiment up so that we, have perfect legitimacy to declare a Jewish state, and then also have the cover of, being able to point to this atrocity for years on. And then what happens? Adolf Hitler comes on the scene. And this eventually turns into a whole giant war, whether you believe in the Holocaust or not. That is the perception that we were all left with. Now, anti-Semitism was always a thing. I don't really agree with that terminology because, you know, as you've probably heard, most Jews are not Semites, and not all Semites are Jews. So it's a misnomer. But we always have been aware that, hey, you know, these people aren't the greatest to have around. They're deracinated, they're nomadic, and they just cause problems in their hosts' countries. Now, this could have been dealt with in some other way, but these puppet masters decided to frame it in a way that they could reap a benefit from. Now, let's come back to current times, where we have Donald Trump, and I personally do not believe that he is the real deal. There's plenty of reasons that, are kind of obvious, really, that plainly say, this guy is not a rogue. He was friends with the Clintons. He used to be a Democrat. He was a huge contributor to the Clinton Foundation, and also their election bids, on and on, so and so forth. Friends with Jeffrey Epstein, the guy who basically was a pimp of underage children. Oh, well, children are... child prostitutes, that's the terminology I'm looking for. And, suddenly, just because we haven't heard anything explicit about Donald Trump, oh yeah, he's totally innocent, he's never touched a child. He drained the swamp, yes, but then he filled the swamp back up with... with Jews, and what's that big bank that is just buying up swaths of land in developed nations? Shit, I can't. All these investment bankers, all these fucking sociopaths, he has amalgamated around him, and he's supposed to be the guy that's standing up against globalism, the guy that's standing up against the deep state. What if this is all just, WWF stuff? Professional wrestling stuff. He did dabble in professional wrestling. He had a share in the WWE, Donald Trump, that is, and, he actually played a part in the whole ongoing drama that they have. He was a character in one of the plays. Like what like, how these people, they all work together in the WWE and they're shaking hands, because they may talk shit about each other, but that's part of the job. Well, in the same way, we had, just until Trump's bid for the election, he was still shaking hands with the Clintons. He was, even mid-run, he was praising the Clintons and saying how great they were. So what if they're bringing all of these concepts up now, like deep state and globalist, to neuter them in a controlled way, to put them into a context that our enemies can control? So that they can control the narrative, and that they win the game at the end. Because with all of our, the deep state turning against Donald Trump, that there may actually be a lot of substance to that. Actually, I think there is, and I would, explain at a later date the ingenious behind that as well. But it's also a fucking distraction. I mean, look, things haven't changed around the world. Okay, Donald Trump is not making things better for white people or for anyone else. There are still constant full-on war. We're getting closer to conflict with Iran that has been on the cards since the turn of the century. Israel has almost completely genocided the Palestinians, and they're in the process of moving their capital to Jerusalem, which is fully supported by Donald Trump. This guy is not our hero. There may be a Punch and Judy show to make it look like maybe we have a fighting chance against this cabal. But even if Trump does win this theater, we'll still be living under total war and a world government. So what am I saying? I think that, we should not fight Donald Trump. We should not support Donald Trump. We should just admit that it has absolutely nothing to do with us. And we should be looking to real fucking solutions. Which is self-empowerment. Which is self-sustainability, which is community, building these things and not getting carried away with the theater in front of us, because it's not going to come about by a Donald Trump type character, because a Donald Trump type character just sees all of the power structure as something that he can use for his personal benefit. What we want is a devolution of that power structure, and the only way that comes about is if we don't feed the machine that's building that power structure. I mean, being less reliant on it. So maybe we should be looking at taking care of those things instead. Just a thought, just a thought. Take it easy, folks.